We all know America is deeply polarized along political lines. But what's the key to overcoming our disagreements? Perhaps we could just ignore the things we disagree on, out of sight, out of mind. Or maybe we should all just agree more. If we all think the same things about politics and policy, that should lead to less conflict and better outcomes, right? Wrong. Counterintuitive as it may be, the key to greater unity and more progress isn't actually to agree more or to disagree less. It's to disagree better. A lot of people today will tell you that a lack of conflict is a sign of progress. But in many cases, the truth is almost the exact opposite. I'm Arthur Brooks, author of Love Your Enemies, and in this video, I'm going to tell you why we need to have more intellectual fights if we want to build a better country. Universal agreement, or at least passive disagreement, might seem more pleasant in the short run than vigorous disagreement, but it leads to stagnation and mediocrity in the long run. It's a lively but respectful competition of ideas that fosters the dynamism and creative thinking that leads us to improve outcomes in business, in politics, and even in our friendships. So how can we disagree better? Here are 3 guidelines to keep in mind. Guideline number 1. Never try to insult someone into agreement. Trying to get someone to take your point of view by insulting their beliefs almost never works, and there's a reason why. Back in 1967, a team of psychologists found that when you insult someone for holding particular views, this induces something that's known as the boomerang effect. Rather than becoming more open to your way of thinking after being insulted, your ideological opponents double down on their original beliefs. As the researchers found, if people change their views at all, the odds are more than 3 to 1 that they'll become more extreme in their views. What's the practical lesson here? If you favor gun control, don't tell Second Amendment supporters that they're heartless idiots. Tell them that you think stricter regulation will accomplish a shared objective of greater safety and security. Or if you favor less government involvement in healthcare, don't call your ideological opponents Stalinists. Tell them why you think a private system will more effectively achieve a shared objective of better care for more people. You'll avoid the boomerang effect, and you might convince someone to see an issue the way that you do. Guideline number 2. Never assume the motives of another person. In America today, we far too readily dismiss other people's ideas. Not because the ideas are actually wrong, but because we assume the motives of the people espousing them are self-serving or even nefarious. There are 2 big problems with this habit. First, it dulls our capacity to reason and debate by excusing us from ever having to take on the actual merits of the argument. Imagine somebody saying, "Gravity is real," and being met with this response: "Your argument is invalid because you work for a parachute company and have ulterior motives for opining that gravity is real." If we do the same thing with political arguments, whether about healthcare, taxes, defense, you name it, we'll never be able to determine which kinds of policies are actually best. But another reason not to assume the motives of others is that we hardly even know each other. One 2018 study found that the average Democrat believes more than 40% of Republicans make more than $250,000 a year, when in actuality, just 2.2% do. At the same time, the average Republican believes that nearly 40% of Democrats are gay or lesbian. The actual number is closer to 6%. If we don't even know these basic facts about who the people are that we supposedly disagree with, how can we tell what their motives are? The simple answer is that we can't. So next time you're in an argument, take on the other person's ideas, not the motives you suspect are behind the ideas. By engaging in good faith, you'll improve your own ability to argue for your beliefs, and you'll probably learn something from the people with whom you disagree. Number 3, use your values as a gift, not as a weapon. Whether you realize it or not, what we think about politics and policy is infused with our personal values. But how we use those values is extremely important when we disagree. Think about your values like a bouquet of flowers. If you brought that bouquet to a stranger's door and gave them the flowers, showing them how beautiful they are, the stranger would probably think they're lovely and would be open to keeping them. But if instead you beat the stranger over the head with the flowers when they open the door, they almost certainly wouldn't see any value in the flowers. The flowers would be ruined, and the stranger would slam the door in your face. This is how using our values works in our conversations. The more we share them with others as something beautiful and special, we open the door for more dialogue and a chance to make progress with others. But when we weaponize our values, we neutralize their moral content. This strips them of their power, and makes it less likely that the person we disagree with will listen to us. So remember the 3 keys to disagreeing better. Don't try to insult the other person into agreement. Don't assume the motives of another person. And use your values as a gift, not as a weapon. If you can disagree the right way, you'll help attain the best outcomes for the country. You might just make a few friends in the process. For a full guide on how to disagree better with others and contribute to a vibrant competition of ideas, pick up a copy of Love Your Enemies and visit www.arthurbrooks.com.